Hey guys, Dr. DeAngelo Webster here, and today we're going to talk about a really common question that I get from prospective new dental practice owners, whether you're doing a startup or buying a practice. And that question is, how much rent is too much rent? Okay. Among all the dentists that I work with, I see very often that a dentist becomes enamored with the space and they end up over leveraged on their rent. And remember, your rent is a fixed cost. It never goes away. It also never goes down. Rent only goes up. Okay, so if we lock ourselves into a bad deal where rent's too high, we're never going to get out of it. Okay, and trust me, I get it. The broker's really persuasive and the space looks great and he's really selling you. And it's like, oh, it's right by the Whole Foods and it's 10 minutes from your house. And look how beautiful the floors are. And it's right down the street from the best schools. I get it. But those are all very emotionally charged points when it's a math question. Okay, so when we're talking about our rent, yeah, it's down the street from the Whole Foods and there's a Starbucks over here and all of these great emotional selling points that the broker wants to tell you, okay? It comes down to the math. And in general, what we're looking at is 5%. Okay, so in general, we're looking at the 5% rule, which means your rent for the dental practice space should not exceed 5% of the yearly revenue of your dental practice business, okay? So let's run the math on that, okay? So if we say, let's say we have an $8,000 a month rent, which is a more common number that I've been getting. If rent is $8,000 a month, you're going to have to generate about $2 million a year in collections to justify that rent. If you can't, the math is not going to work, okay? If you go beyond the 5% rule, you're at 8%, 10%, 12%, 15%, then we're going to have a variation of being house poor. Okay, but instead of being house poor, where you're living in a house you can't really comfortably afford, you're going to be practice poor, where you're practicing and working in a space and a building that you can't really afford. And you're going to be showing up every day, working hard, leading your team, caring for your patients, doing the dentistry, and you're going to feel stressed out and strapped financially at the end of the day if you're working in a building you can't really afford. Okay, so let's reverse engineer the math a little bit. Okay, so the average dental practice solo practitioner generates about $750,000 per year in revenue. So if we take that 5% rule, that's going to give us about $38,000 a year in rent. And you divide that over 12 months, you're going to get about $3,100 per month. Okay, so your rent as a new practice owner, in general, in most places, you want to see around $3,000 per month, plus or minus a few percentage points, okay, because there's always a little bit of wiggle room. If you're doing a startup, you kind of have to assume it's going to take you a while to get off the ground. Because when you're a startup, you're starting with 0 patients and 0 revenue. And yes, it might grow to $1 million or $2 million a year, but if you have a failure to launch because your first few months, first 6 months, first year, first 2 years, it takes a slower start, you won't have the luxury to have a slower start if your rent is too high. And you could be out of business before you really get off the ground. If you're doing an acquisition and buying a practice, that practice has a financial track record. And you can look at that, and that can act as a reference point. So you could say, okay, this practice has collected $2 to $3 million per year for the past 5 to 7 years. So there's a good indicator that we're going to be able to keep that trend. But when you're doing a startup, there's no history. So you need to use math and caution and not be caught up in a sales pitch by a broker who's telling you how beautiful the area is.
Making it happen, and we so passionate. That's right. With dental training, growing your dental practices every single day. Gotta keep rising, be a better version of you. We call it Kaizen. Yeah, practice biopsy. Going up, no stop.